been one of the best festivals we've had. Not just the quality of films, but the overall participation, and also with the involvement of the community, which again, I think, and I don't know the numbers. This is a Gregory and Colby and Stephen thing, but from my understanding, we've never had this response from the voting, and obviously that's from an online perspective too. So it has been a challenge, but it's also been a really good thing. So what I would like to do is go around and have everyone first. We'll start with Robbie, and then just kind of move around the circle here. Um, if you can, tell us about what happened when you heard we were going on lockdown, and then you still had to find a way to help these kids finish this film. What was the most challenging thing for you?
Well, I told Bit yesterday that our war story might be kind of relative to the uh, how dedicated our students were. Um, when we got the notification on Friday that we were leaving school, we had one scene left shoot in the film, and we went to school and did it. And that afternoon, we got an email that said, "Oh, and by the way, you can't have any contact with students, and you can't go into the school." And so, luckily, we had done it that morning. We may have done it the next day and played dumb, but we didn't have to. And so, it was a challenge, having gone from seeing these students every day and really just having them throw their ideas at us, and being able to, I kind of think of myself as more of a set of boundary kind of guy, and keep their ideas within the vision of the film. And really what I had to do was trust that with from me that I had done my job in the past 9 months, getting them where they needed to be. And Ethan, our director, would send me things here and there, and I'd little things like, this scene might be a little bit too long, or this. But as far as helping him was concerned, it was a.
In fact, I think that's a great point. The students that were completely dedicated to their project, that was something that, you're not going to win every battle, but and there were a lot of students who weren't able to finish their film for real reasons too. It's not, we're not, no one's getting beat up about it, but it was definitely, there was a lot of kids. And I think, even without a pandemic, you still have kids that just can't get to the finish line. So that is a great thing. It is an awesome thing that your kids were definitely motivated, and that's something that, that's something you can teach, but it really comes down to that individual student. I'm going to move over to you, Bit, since you're right there next to me. And why don't you tell us what you felt like was going on and the challenges you dealt with?
Well, since Robbie and I team teach, we kind of go hand in hand with some of the war stories or the problems we had. For our project, I more helped with the Photoshop of it all. There were a couple things that they needed help with figuring out how to, because ours is very video game-esque, and so there were a couple things they needed special effects for, or needed things to look a certain way. And so we kind of messed with Photoshop within Premiere Pro to try to figure out how to make that work. But other than that, a lot of my stories are the same as Robbie's. So
Very nice. Yeah, your film is, from watching it, it seemed like it was a very challenging film to make, with how you guys did it, and it's very neat. I'm not pulling for anybody, but it was very neat. Okay, John, you have a program at your school dedicated to this, and so I know that you had a lot of stuff and a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. Um, what was it like for you? What was the main challenge you came across when we went into this uh, strange state of affairs that we're in?
Yeah, we dealt with, when we got the message coming down on Friday, it was said we're going from seeing these kids every single day during fifth period, literally being able to sign to them, sitting on a day-to-day basis, going, okay, where are you? Where's your script? What's your shooting schedule look like? To no, basically going entirely electronics contact. And luckily, we had Google Classroom and Remind, and it was a way of doing communication. But all shooting basically shut down. And we had 5 projects going, but only 3 of them had done principal photography. And 2 of them just, we were struggling, and we didn't end up trying to figure out, we can't get students together to do additional shooting after that moment. And then the problem came with the 3 that had principal photography. Filmmaking is a tech-heavy artistic medium. And luckily, 2 of the students had the tech at home and the means to continue with their editing process. But we had 1 student that dropped out. And at that point, my role became purely supportive. Do you need, because they're contacting me, they're like, all of our footage is on a hard drive at school. So I had to get permission to get onto campus, go in there, put it on there, meet in a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, and literally take a flash drive and put it on the hood of a car and back up so that they could get it and get into their car so that they could do. And that's how Who Am I came to be. Luckily, Carpe Diem, his tech is actually better than the school's tech. He's an absolute filmmaking nerd and has Vegas on his laptop at home. And actually had, more tech than we did. But that's the main thing we had was trying to scramble and then just prompting them and going, where are you? And just supporting as I could and answering any questions. And they submitted their rough cuts to me. I gave them feedback. They did final cuts, and we put it in the Dropbox.
Yeah, and that's that's definitely a conversation I want to have next week, and that is access to technology. It is a big deal, and you're right. To make a film requires, it requires something, and we can talk about, oh, we did it on our iPhone and all that, and you can do that, but that still requires a savvy to it. And like I said, next week when we do our next roundtable, I definitely want to talk about that. I want that to be one of our focuses, is how we get technology to kids and let them express themselves without that burden. But we'll deal with that another day. Thank you, John. That was great. Ryan, I'm going to come to you. You guys, this is your first year as well, I believe. And so that experience obviously was something new. And then on top of that, a brand new experience of having to deal with a pandemic. So go ahead.
Luckily for us, we started this year with sort of goals that we wanted to do as a club. There's no real filmmaking class at our school, and our club is something that does news type things. They do like a news type program every Friday it's like a 10-minute show that they do every week with different segments and things like that. So doing a film was something very foreign to all of them. I've only been teaching, it's my second year. And so the beginning of my second year, I wanted to make goals on what I knew we had the capability to do, but we weren't doing. And then the school has so much, great tech, really good camera systems, really good microphones that we would be able to do this a working studio kind of, in fact, that we changed into a like musical studio for some of the stuff we had to do. But fortunately for us, we made this goal early. So by Thanksgiving, we didn't even know which film festival we would join. We just knew we wanted to make a film and then look for festivals that we felt. would be best for us. So by Thanksgiving, we were filming. And then I would say, so all of our stuff was done filming by Thanksgiving, like the end of Thanksgiving. So we had a lot of time to really take what we wanted and make this piece as best as we could. And these girls wrote it probably beginning in October, and they were done by the time the break was to start. So a phenomenal job. And then coming up with the lyrics for the song, you know, a lot of them just really did a great job, and they were inviting everyone in. Like no one in the school was, even if you weren't in the club, you were able to come and join this project and the free flow of ideas that was happening. So it was really cool to see that. So I wish I had like more war stories to give you guys, but going into the year, like I'd, you know, made a plan for our school and our club to let's do this and let's do it as best we can. And the students, all I had to do was give them the equipment, give them the way to make their voice heard, and they did it, and they did it in a great job, I believe. So only thing hard was maybe marketing, but we tried our best with the school. During this time, it's tough to make a post about, you know, anything that isn't related to what's going on right now. So it's a very difficult time to even just think about that. I would say that would be one war story that we've had. We've had to think about how we even promote and what we say when we promote. So good coming out of it for sure.
Very nice. That's excellent. Yeah, and this is something me and Gregory talked about the other day, and I think starting early always always makes it easier. Having dates, having schedules, and I guess that you know, a lot of kids having that time that's one way that you can help get to success. So good job. Cool. All right, Jamie, you're up. Tell us about it. How did it go over there?
Okay, I'm new to myself. Well, my students were kind of already working very independently, because right when we began the project, everything was going good, and I had to leave work for medical reasons, but I knew that I'd still be available through the phone and internet. And so they were, from the very beginning, very independent. So I think the transition to not being at the school was, you know, a little bit easier for them, probably because they'd been used to doing a lot of communicating. And Stephen was so wonderful at keeping everything on track. And I just am so grateful. I just have to say that, because I feel like that was a key. Robinson Film Center, their teen film council, I just really relied on knowledgeable people. And the kids, first of all, the kids were amazing. Like they really pulled it off, but they had a great support team as well. So I think my situation was a little different, but without that support team, I don't know what it would have been like. And also my coworkers, I do a special program. It's the Talented Arts program, and we only see the kids once a week, but I also worked with Steve Porter and art. And so that he was able to, you know, kind of get the artistic angle, and you know, Shannon Bamberg, my coworker. So it was just a lot of people, you know, plugging in to make it happen. So I don't know if everybody else feels like that, but it was like a little village almost. But it was definitely led by the children, for sure. They were so motivated, and I couldn't be any prouder. So that's not really a war story, but.
You did fine. That's great. I'm a little jealous that you got to use Steve Porter to help you guys out. That's cool. He's a fantastic artist, and a fantastic human being as well.
Yeah.
All right, Katrina, how you doing? You have an excellent program at your school. I get some of your kids, and they always speak so highly of you. And so you tell us about what you guys ran into once we went into this challenging.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, what was interesting is we actually shot a scene for our movie the day we got kicked out of school, which was Friday the 13th. We had actually gotten, we were at the location at 8:15. It went well. And so the very next week, the students said, we need to finish our movie, you know. And the principal allowed us to come back on campus, but we had to go out in the courtyard. So we had to alter some things. And so we had one more scene to shoot. And they said no one else could be on campus. So we got kicked out of that and we couldn't be around the students. So we opted to do a PSA for the Shreveport Green. And this was the year that all the kids were really hyped about doing everything. They were excited, and I just hate that we could not complete our project. And this was their 4th year, and which means the seniors were actually freshmen when we started. And they said, oh, we're gonna do it this year. This is gonna be our year. And I really hate that they could not complete the project. But all in all, we had a lot of support from our administrators, you know, but they had to follow protocol with the COVID-19.
Yeah, and that was the challenge for the administrators as well.
It was
trying to let us in and do things, while at the same time being careful and making sure we were being safe. I will say this to you, Rena. You will be, if any kid that didn't finish their film this year, they'll be able to resubmit it for next year.
Oh, great.
So
great.
If they've got something that they've been working on, and I'm pretty sure we all say this, and Gregory may kick me in the butt later, but even if they were a senior, they are able to come back and enter their film next year for this time frame. So please let them know that. And yeah, because that I'd hate to see it not get anywhere. So make sure you get with them on
we
that.
only had one scene left too. So, and I was so desperate, I actually got up and went and picked up about 5 kids and packed them into my car and drove them to the location. And they were like, you cannot do that, you know, but they were desperate, you know.
Sure. Well, thank you. And hopefully we can see that next year.
Yeah.
All right, my friend Celia Mangum, tell us about it.
Spacebar thing isn't working for me today. Okay, when they made the announcement during 5th hour that we were going home for, at that time, 2 weeks, or a month, I don't know, not forever. I was like, okay, guys, so I know everything that needed to be filmed at school had finished. Like the 13th was the day that their raw footage was due. So the groups that had to film at school had finished. The only people who still needed to film were people who were filming at home over the weekend. And so I just said, look, you've got to come check out this equipment, not knowing that I would like never see some of these people again. So, you know, it's cool. They took home several $1,000s worth of film equipment. No big deal. I got it all back. But they stealthily came and dropped it in my carport at various phases and times. I did some incognito memory card drops in mailboxes all around the city because some of them had left their memory card in the computer where they were editing at school that Friday. So that was probably our biggest challenge, was just getting everything to everyone. And then definitely having the equipment to edit at home. I'm really lucky Shreve has an Adobe site license. So each of my students have Adobe Creative Cloud accounts. So the issue wasn't access to the software. The issue was access to a computer that will actually run the software. And a lot of my kids didn't have that. And I don't have a spare that I can like drive around to their, I mean, I do, but they don't need to borrow it. So that was our biggest challenge, was getting things edited. So we have like maybe 5 or 6 more films that finished principal photography. And it's just like living sadly on a memory card at my students' houses. And we were never able to get that back. But then Quincy, the girl who made Stardust, made her film entirely on her iPhone. So I kept telling them that like they don't really have any excuses because she filmed and edited and imported sound that she recorded externally and everything, on her iPhone. So I was like, guys, get it together. Like, you can do it. They didn't all get it together, but a lot of them did. So I was proud.
Yeah. Again, that access is a big deal. Even when Adobe, one of the things that happened from our perspective as teachers, Adobe gave out licenses, but it was like trying to pull teeth to get them set up, because they were emailing, and I mean, this is another topic, but they weren't getting the licenses to do it. So even though Adobe made it, oh, here's some licenses, they took so long to get them out. A lot of the kids, they missed the opportunity under that. And again, I'm always fascinated about what phones will do. And eventually, we won't have this issue because it'll all be in your hand. But I do think that that's great that some kids were able to realize and use that as an asset to them. So good for them, and good job for the films you got out too. All right, so we're going to do this. We're going to go around again, and we're going to talk a little bit more. This time, instead of challenges, let's talk about, and you kind of all mix it in, and that's good. That's great. Let's go around again though, and let's talk about what was really successful to you and through this whole process, and then how you envision Film Prize Junior being a part of your class from now on. And do you see yourself doing this again? Do you see yourself helping kids facilitate films again? Did this work out for you as a bonus to your class, or was it your class? I know, again, some of us get to teach our class around it, but how do you see Film Prize Junior as part of your success and for these kids, and what the future holds for it? And I'm going to start with Bit this time, so she's not coming on the coattails. So we're going to go with you, Ms. Thompson.
Well, so the way that we run our class, we usually have a really big project that takes us all year long to make, that we premiere in the community in Lake Charles. And so this year, with being our first year participating, we had a group of our kids that were working on the big project, also working on this project. So I don't know if in the future we don't use this as a small project for our students to do throughout the year on top of the big project, if that makes any sense. Just to keep, because they learned so much about how filmmaking works in the process within our big project, that I think it helps them when it comes to these smaller projects like this. And so, yeah, I would hope that we're going to continue to participate, and that we'll have more of our kids, or we'll have more than one film to be able to put into the festival, because we'll have more kids participating.
Well, great. You should make Film Prize Junior the big project.
We could do that too.
Cool, and that's great. So you guys have a full-on class for it. That's awesome. Okay, Robbie, let's hear you come on her coattails now.
Yeah, I was gonna. I understand what Bit is saying when she means larger project versus smaller project, and primarily I think it's time. The bigger projects that we do, which I mean, when you're, let's say the we'll call it a premiere project instead of a bigger project. The premiere project that we do is something that we start working on in September, and they're learning the process throughout. And you can watch these projects that we do, and you can see like that must have been filmed in October versus this must have been filmed in April. But it ends up being around an hour and a half or a 2-hour premiere that we do. And so we did have some very motivated students this year. I don't even remember how I found out about Film Prize Junior. I think I got something in the mail at St. Louis that typically finds my hand, I see it, and it goes into the recycle bin. But I stopped this one and started reading it and called Film Prize and said, you know, for 4 years, this is what we've been doing at St. Louis. Can we submit these things that we do? And I was told, no, but I'll let you talk to somebody. And that's when I got put in touch with Stephen, and you were so complimentary of what we. Yeah, I don't want to say complimentary of what we did, because you never saw what we did, but I think you felt an energy that we were looking for another outlet. And so when Ryan, you were talking about, you know, we just knew we wanted to finish a project and put it into a film festival or a competition. I texted Bit and I'm like, wait a minute. We haven't even entered that thinking. Like, there's other places that we could submit these things to get some recognition for our kids. Like, this we operate in such a vacuum down here in Lake Charles. And I don't mean, well, you might say culturally, but I just kind of mean artistically, and that we're the only ones from the Southwest in Calcasieu Parish that are in this. And I just don't think that the media arts is what we call our class. The media arts programs are just being pumped up, and it's you know, the little bits of success that we have outside of students gaining a tremendous amount of confidence and moving on with this. I've talked about this class more about being how to creatively problem solve over, you know, how to hold a camera and to edit videos. You know, like what are we teaching the kids whenever they have a plan, something, which is exactly what happened. We have a plan. There's a roadblock that comes forth. Do we quit? Or do we back up a little bit, drop down and say, how can we creatively rework this? Not to plug our other project, but we weren't finished with our other project. We ended up turning our big project into a silent film this year because we didn't have any audio recorded, because we were gonna do a complete overdub project on sound this year. And so when you want to talk war stories, it was that one. So comparatively speaking, the asset that we worked on was a delight, because it was like, here, kids, can you do anything with this? And when they came back with yes, you know, Bit and I just could kind of pat ourselves on the back.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah. And you said something there that is a big deal to me. And I say, art in general is problem solving. In any way you look at it, it's what it is. And so I was glad to hear that. Thank you. Awesome. Good. Cool. Very cool. Okay. Since y'all kind of moved around on me, Jamie, you're up next.
Hey, well, I think it was a great experience for all the students. They not only, you know, learned a lot about making films, but I think that it was a big confidence builder for them, because they did have to problem solve. And you know, and they're in high school and they had to get on the set and, you know, tell people what to do. And, you know, that can be awkward, you know, for them, but then they, you know, they just really blossomed with that. So I think that it was a lot more than just, you know, making the movie. And I think that it was a wonderful experience for them. And in fact, one of my students is going to have a web series as a result of this. And he's really super interested in not only acting, but in production. And so it's really fun to watch this, you know, unfold for them. So, and then my other three that made a movie, they just are like really into editing and learning, and they just want to be as involved and learn as much as possible. So I think it was a really amazing experience. And so I'm sure we'll do it again. So that's all.
Awesome. That's great. I love to hear that. It is, Film Prize Junior does build confidence in kids. It gives kids an outlet for what's inside of them, and it lets them see that they are capable of seeing something all the way through. And that something that we always talk about is it can change their lives. And yeah, that's awesome. All right, Katrina, tell us, what was the best thing about your year this year besides the challenging?
Okay. One of the best things I saw, the kids were more interested in writing this year. Actually, a couple of them were debating who's going to write the script and who wasn't going to write it. So I was very pleased to see that. I had more participation this year than ever before. The kids were more interested in doing a movie. It was mostly seniors, so I don't know if it was a competition thing within them, which was a good thing within the class. But I was very pleased to know that they were interested in the movie, in doing the movie. Although we didn't complete it, but they were interested. One young lady, she was like, "Can I check out a laptop so that I can write at home?" And I was, I told her, "Sure, not a problem." So that was my success, was seeing them have an interest for the writing part.
Cool. Yeah, and again, I've had several of your students, and they are always some of my favorites. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Celia, tell us about it. What was the biggest success for you this year?
Okay, I had this group this year. I always teach production, set etiquette, how to slate everything properly so that your editor doesn't want to strangle you. I had a group this year that I swear every single shot was immaculately slated. Like perfect set procedure. I have never had a group do that. And then it took them like literally a day to edit their film, because find the shot, find the audio, sync the sound, trim it, done. I mean, like they were done in a day editing their whole film, because and I saved all their raw footage so that I can give an example to all my future classes. Like, I swear, if you do what I tell you to do and what I teach you to do, it really does make the whole thing easier. So that was probably my biggest success this year, was actually getting a group to like use the slate and like make it mean something. Overall, Film Prize Junior. So I've been teaching film for 10 years now. And when I started teaching film, I had no equipment. I had some old film studies textbooks that weren't the ones that I wanted ordered. And I was maybe like 80% appreciation and analysis and maybe 20% production. And like as Film Prize Junior started and I've gotten like grants for more equipment and stuff, that's almost flipped. I'd say I'm probably like 75% production now. And of course, we're still doing the watching good model films. You have to do some appreciation and analysis and history, learning the history of Hollywood and all of that to really understand what you're doing as a filmmaker. But I mean, Film Prize Junior has already radically changed how we do, how I teach my film class. I have a Captain Tree Film Festival every year, because usually the number of submissions is limited from each school. So we would have to choose our top 3 or 4 or 5, whatever the limit was that year. And so that's become a big deal. I get a red carpet and put it out, and we have paparazzi who are like other students who I like get to hold cameras and take pictures of people with big, it's really fun. It's a really fun thing. And I have a VIP room for the filmmakers there and everything. So we make it a big deal at the school level. But that was inspired by Film Prize Junior and how exciting that was for my students at a state level. So no, like Film Prize Junior has completely changed how I teach my class and the focus of the class and everything.
Very cool. In fact, I think that is one of the goals, right? Is to help us change the way we are and how we approach our students when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. Okay, Ryan, you're up to bat. Tell us about you've told us about your great success already. Maybe you can tell us how you might use Film Prize Junior as part of your students' experience in the classroom.
Yeah, I thought that my students that were involved, just being extras in the film at times too, they thought it was a great experience for them to just watch and see how it was done. So, you know, we have 8th graders that were working with seniors and watching the process and watching what they do to become more accustomed and involved with what you need and lighting and all those things and why they make a difference and why you got to make sure your tripods are not in the shot every single time and, you know, with your lights as well. So that's something that was a success there. Also success, we were scheduled to make another film, but it didn't go through because the girls were so happy with how the first one came through. They wrote another one, and this one was a much brainier one, like, you know, society and norms and stuff like that. But, you know, they weren't able to do that. So it wasn't all successes, obviously. But for the future, knowing for Film Prize, the fact that we can have multiple films and enter them, I think that's a wonderful thing that you guys provide, because let's say I get a film idea from one group and they just, you know, it doesn't coincide with maybe what the other half wants to possibly do. So for me, that's fantastic because it's an outlet to allow other voices and other sort of, obviously all schools have little cliques and groups and stuff. So, you know, I always want people to work together if possible, but, you know, if it comes to be that, you know, they can help each other make the films that they want to make, I think that's something that I would definitely try to do in the future for sure.
Excellent. That's great. Getting 8th graders involved is future Film Prize Junior people. So yeah, Celia, you have a question?
I was gonna, I kind of have like a suggestion, I guess. So I have 110 film studies students divided into 3 classes. Don't do the math on the class sizes for that. It's just depressing. But our process is each student writes a script. It's an assignment and they can write whatever they want, but I tell them like what the rules are if they want it to be produced as a class project, or they can choose to produce it on their own at home. So if they say, I want this to be produced as a class project, I read those and I give them some feedback and they maybe like make some edits, but then they have to pitch it to the class and the class votes on which projects they'll make in class as projects. So, I mean, we started with, okay, let's be real, not every student did their work. So probably like 100 scripts, and then kind of weeded it down from there by what was appropriate for the scope of the festival. So like PG-ish, what was able to be filmed at school, what has like no crazy special effects that we can't do, stuff like that. And so then the students picked the scripts that they thought were most interesting to them. So that's how we kind of solve that problem of like, if we have a crazy lot of ideas, and then if their script doesn't get chosen to be made as a school project, they can make it at home and enter it in the festival also. So that's what we do with our so many film projects.
Awesome. Let's get to John real quick, and then I'll go around and get some questions. John, tell us what your biggest challenge or your biggest success, and how you're using Film Prize Junior for your class now.
Well, I'm lucky in that when I was hired on, the administration is, my class is explicitly structured around Film Prize Junior. It was made very clear to me from the beginning that our film production class, the ultimate goal of this is submissions to Film Prize Junior. That they want the films made and they want them submitted. And so, you know, I have the advantage that from day one, I tell the kids as they come in, it's like, this is what we're doing. But I think more than that, when I tell the students when they come in, is listen, you've been watching film your entire life. And in all honesty, I'm about to ruin it for you, because you will never, ever view film the same way again. You will view it from a production standpoint. And to make this point, my first 2 weeks of my class, I took the Joker trailer and we broke it down shot by shot by shot. We averaged 11 seconds of film a day. And literally it was like, you know, what do you see? Why this angle? Why this lighting? why this time of day? I was like, every single thing you see here is a conscious choice. And so, and taking them from that point of just going, oh no, it's cityscape. I'm like, okay, why this city? Why this time of day? All that, to at the end being able to say to them, I was like, what does it feel like to be a filmmaker? Because by the end of the class, all of them had done something on some project. Because like Celia, all of my kids write scripts. I have nowhere near as many students, but I have the advantage of their grades. I can tell you, you're going to write a story. You're going to turn that story into a script. And then the challenges of narrowing it down. I don't know about y'all, but half my students want to be M. Night Shyamalan. And I tell them that's going to be really hard to accomplish in 10 minutes to get a major, twist at the end of a film that's only 10 minutes long, plus you've got credits. So, and bringing them in that and then taking it and narrowing it down and coming up with a system of getting them all involved. And they're like, okay, and we set up on the whiteboard, and everybody in the class is involved in costuming or casting or sound or cinematography or whatever. And, bringing them together as a team. So at the end of it, they can point at those films and go, I did that shot there, or I chose that thing, and have that moment where they can point at a film that they've been watching and realize they made something. It's good. And, and that's what I love more than anything else is, regardless of winning or not, the equipment's nice. I've already picked out in my head what we could use. But at the end of the day, it's seeing the students be able to point and go, I made that. Look what I did. They can send it to colleges and be like, what did you do? Well, we made this. I was cinematographer on this. And that's the thing I love about this and having done this one process. And yeah, absolutely early. Everything else needs to be earlier, especially if you're going to have a pandemic. Definitely need to get ahead of the game. But I don't know, I thought it was a great experience. I look forward to doing it again with 1 year under my belt of watching the students doing it and, being able to do it better next year.
Fantastic. When I was in art school, I had to take the Lord of the Rings film and break down every single shot and every single piece of dialogue. So you kind of hurt me when you said that you were making your kids do that, because it is definitely tedious, but you learn a lot. That is definitely a great way of having your kids see really the minute details of what a film is about. So excellent. Well, we're getting here close to our end. So any questions or any other comments? Does anybody feel like they want to throw out there? Yeah, go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah, I was going to echo this, or I was going to say this after all, because I forgot to in my talk before, but I want to echo what John was saying, back to the original question of this is Film Prize Junior is absolutely into our curriculum now. We have been impressed with everything. When I heard from Stephen and he said we're moving forward with it, I just didn't have the heart to call my students yet ahead. So I was keeping my fingers crossed and waiting to see what was going to happen. So, it's under the circumstances, I don't know. Like I said, we didn't even know there were competitions we could enter. So this is our entry to this high school film competition world. And I imagine you guys want to run it a little bit smoother, but I don't know the difference. And so as we develop our curriculum next year, as Bit and I get together this summer to talk about what projects we're going to do, and my oldest daughter is going to be in my class for the first time next year. So this is something that we will definitely slate for after, actually, I don't know when, but I'm promising you that that I'm so pleased with the competitive aspect that this may be project, even though it's 10 minutes long. So thank you.
Oh, thank all of you. Thank all of you and all of the students. It definitely, it's good to hear that. I know from, again, I'm a special case. I do these things too. I make them write scripts and I do all this stuff. And so I do see the value. And I think you said it earlier, and I think this is the big deal. And again, something we always talk about at Film Prize Junior, and that is, making kids better. And once they see you know, once we see, and it's taken me a while too. Once I've seen the power of Film Prize Junior, it's really hard not to, you know, want to make your class about it. You know, it's really like, this is what we're doing. This is all it is. It's just Film Prize Junior. And so I'm glad to hear that some of you guys have that option and some of you guys are working towards that. Yeah, Celia, go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know what the culture is like kind of outside of our area, but high schools in the Shreveport-Bossier area are incredibly competitive. Those of you who teach here, I don't know if y'all knew that, but we are like super all over. Yeah, right. So I found that once this became a competition, once this became about another way that we could beat Bird or whoever, you know, then I got much more support from my administration for my program, much more funding for my program from my administration. And so while honestly the competitive part is my absolute least favorite part of this, like I want to win, whatever, I don't really care. Don't tell my kids that. Like I want them to have the experience of making a film and being celebrated. Like I'm in it to win it. Like that's fine. I want the best film to win, if that makes sense. Like, but the competition aspect is what is getting like administrations and communities and stuff excited about my class and the media arts program.
Yeah, and all the kids who enter Film Prize Junior are winners, and so it doesn't. We can have the competition aspect of it. Having some kid go from a idea and manifested into reality is winning, no matter what. And so they're all winners. But yes, you're right. It is silly competitive sometimes, but we need that. So, hey, John, you had a comment you wanted to make.
I was just piggybacking on Celia. Yeah, the administration, they love them trophies, and they want to display them. And you know, the administration, like, you know, our principal used to be a vice principal at Bird, and so there is something on, you know, bringing that competitive aspect to it. And you know, I told students, I was like, you know, you made a film. That's ultimately it. But you know, if we can point it up there and be like, and you know, and the prize money doesn't hurt either. Like I said, mentally, I was like, I know what equipment, you know, you know, the sound equipment doesn't suck.
Yeah, and that you know, that is nice. You know, if you know you have a goal to shoot for, you got something that you want to do. That's cool. Well, look, we're here. We have made an hour of this, and it's been great. I've enjoyed listening to all of you tell us about these things and spreading the love of Film Prize Junior as we do it. And thank you, everybody. I'll give this one last moment here to anybody who wants to throw something out there real quick. We all good? All right, great. Well, this has been great. Look forward to next Saturday at 10 a.m. Oh, hold on, Katrina. Katrina has something she wants to say.
I was just clapping.
Okay, that's cool. Good. Yeah, let's all clap. Yeah, it was great. Again, we'll do this again next Saturday, 10 a.m., same time. We'll be a little bit more free and talk about some issues I think that are important to our students and the important to the future of Film Prize Junior and how we're going to approach next year. So again, thank you all very much. It's been wonderful. I'm going to turn it over to Stephen to wrap us out and send us on our way. And again, thank you all very much.
All righty. Thank you so much, Tom, for leading an excellent roundtable today. For all those viewers out there, thank you for joining us. This has been a super exciting opportunity to gather educators from across the state of Louisiana to share their diverse experiences with Film Prize Junior and filmmaking in their own schools in general. So remember that next Saturday, we'll be doing another roundtable experience at 10 a.m. You'll want to join us. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on the Film Prize Sharing website. You have to be there. We'll be talking preparation for 2021, the way that we can support our educators and our arts programs so they can prosper. These students can have these invigorating and fulfilling educational and arts experiences. And we have to give a major round of applause and props digitally to all of our educators here for joining us today. Thank you guys so much for being here and giving us a bit of your time this Saturday morning. I know you could be sleeping in, eating pancakes, whatever the case may be. Thank you for being here. And with that said, I'm gonna take us out. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day, guys. Remember, live screenings, Friday the 19th, Thursday the 18th. Support the students all week long. We'll see you at the award ceremony as well on the 24th of June at noon. That will be live. Thank you again. Bye, everybody.